Act of 1992.
Madam Chair, I move that to insert into the records the explanatory note of the House Bill number 2567 as the sponsorship speech of the author.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Let us now hear from the resource person regarding this bill. Alam niyo, napakahalaga na itong bill na ito eh. Ang dami kasing mga blighted areas na may question kung sino yung may-ari. May mga dispute eh, diba? So, yun ang isang reason kung bakit hindi ma-expropriate, hindi matulungan yung nasabing blighted areas. Now, interested naman yung ating mga ISF na pumasok at pumaloob sa mga socialized housing projects na meron ang ating gobyerno. So, this is actually an opportunity for the government and for the ISF families who wanted to enter into socialized housing project of our government. So, I want to first hear comments for this bill from the Department of Human Settlement and Urban Development. Ms. Annalisa M. Mirador.
Good morning, Your Honor. For those lands that are occupied by informal settler families, there are two kinds of land. Those that are public in nature and those that are private in nature, so titled for private individuals. We have addressed that previously by having two programs, separate programs for those situations. One is the community mortgage program, wherein the government comes in, buys the land for the occupants, and try to negotiate the right the right amount for the people so that they can afford it. Because if it's in city, say if it's in Quezon City, it should be expensive because of the cost of land. But the Socialized Housing Finance Corporation, I hope they're here, they buy the land for the people, and they are the ones who pay the landlord and the landowners, and the people who live there, they pay the Socialized Housing Corporation. So in turn, the land, if the title is clean in nature, it goes to the government and they pay the mortgage, and eventually they are given the title. It is subdivided in their favor, and it is given to them upon full payment. So that's one of the programs. And the other program, which I would like to say that we have a very high collection efficiency for the CMP. They have about 65% collection efficiency, meaning the people who enter this program pay religiously because they know that they are given the opportunity to own the land, and they pay religiously to Socialized Housing Finance Corporation. And the other is the proclaimed land. Yes.
Ms. Annalisa, from the chair, medyo papasok lang ako ng konti. Actually, the bill is about expropriation.
Yes.
Kasi we know everybody, I think, based on experience, all the congressmen here know the community mortgage program.
Yes.
When we talk about community mortgage program, we are dealing with private owners.
Yes.
Oo. Pero itong bill na to,
it's for expropriation.
Is for expropriation. Well, dahil kahit private ka, privately owned to, ang problema yung mga tao is, una, hindi nila malocate or kaya may dispute, pero privately owned. So, ang nais namin, we want from the district to comment on the bill regarding the expropriation of private properties that later on will be undergoing socialized housing projects from either from DSUD, from SHAPSI, or from if LGU have their own housing socialized housing scheme. Ito yung sinasabi. This is what is stated in this bill.
Okay.
That's the comment that you want to ask from the DSUD.
I was just explained, but yeah. For the official comments, because we are trying to consolidate the different positions and different mandates of our different key shelter agencies, and because the DSUD, because it's being new, we have expropriation powers also. So, but it's not being used as of now because the department is new. So, and then NHA just had their new charter this year, ma'am. Oo, this year lang po. So, hindi pa po siya masyadong na... but for the full comment on the expropriations for lands to be used for socialized housing, if it's all right, we will submit it this week upon careful study of our legal team. Yes, ma'am.
From the chair, Ms. Ana,
Yes.
kasi this is a very good opportunity. Katulad I said a while ago, this is a very good opportunity for a lot of blighted areas with informal sectors that are willing, no, to undergo the community mortgage program or socialized housing projects of our national government. Pero nagiging hadlang sa kanila is the land. Oo, itself. So can you please discuss, Annalisa, for our information para alam namin that since you already raised the expropriation that they should and even NHA could undergo the expropriation proceedings for private lots and the beneficiary are the actual occupants. Nangyari na ba to? May nagawa na ba kayong ganon? At magkano yung price range?
Ang expropriation of lands for socialized housing po, ang pricing po nito is under yung the Arrow Act. It's recently passed in July 2025. The Arrow Act is specifically, nandun po yung, kasi po dun sa RA 10752, tanda mo no? 105, the Right of Way Act. Naka-specific po dun how pricing would be in case of a government expropriation. It's there. So it was na-amend po siya ng Arrow Act. So nandun po sa Arrow Act nakalagay kung ano po yung how it is going to be priced, market value plus kasi it's market value plus zonal valuation. So mayroon po dong mga formula. It's in the Arrow Act. So when a land is it can be expropriated by private or government infrastructure project. So pag nadaanan po ang isang property ng government infrastructure project, then it can be expropriated. And the pricing is in the Arrow Act.
Ms. Ana,
Yes,
hindi ba tungkol sa right of way yung tinatakal mo
Yes,
about
ma'am.
it?
It's a right of way.
The bill is tackling about expropriation for socialized housing.
Housing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why si NHA po kasi ang NHA can.
Anyway, Ms. Ana, thank you.
Sorry.
So tinuturo ang NHA. Ano NHA ang masasabi
Hindi mo
mo?
namin ginagawa yun, ma'am.
NHA, Ms. Maria Luisa Tenco. Okay. And Dennis Portasio.
Yes. Good morning, Your Honor. Ganito po, tagalogin ko na lang. Ang problem talaga is ng mga tao, yung CMP okay yun. Kasi pwedeng magkasundo yung affected family at saka yung mayari. Abot ang presyo. Ang kaya mag-negotiate. Ang problem natin ngayon is yung mga landowner na malalaki yung lupa, maganda yung lupa at hindi talaga ibibigay sa mga nakatira. So, ang iniisip na intervention is for the government to expropriate the land. Okay. Assuming po na kayang i-expropriate, ang magiging basis will be the market price, current market price. Kahit sabihin mo pang fair market value, mataas pa rin. Baka mamaya, ang problem doon ngayon, since ang taas ng acquisition o ang taas ng expropriation cost mo, papaano mo ngayon ipapasok paano mo siya i-dispose sa socialized housing price, no, para sa socialized housing project. Baka may ibang sektor na magreklamo na this is grossly disadvantageous sa gobyerno na you are buying lands ng mataas and then binibigay. So siguro po, ang pwede pong maging gitna nun ay ganito. Suggestion po is we can expropriate yung lupa kung magkano yan. Ang layunin po ay maka-expropriate talaga ng lupa. And then, kung paano yung mode of housing, yun po siguro yung po pwedeng makontrol. Like for example, you do not need na ibenta yung lupa kasi mataas nga eh. Pero pwede kang gumawa roon, let's say, ng public housing 'di ba? Wherein mas makikater natin yung was this the security of tenure o paninirahan nung higit na nangangailangan nang hindi sila mamumroblema sa cost nung, let's say, rental o nung ibabayad. Plus, kasi hindi na siya ibebenta, so the state-owned na yung lupa and then also the building. Ang book value naman ng lupa at saka ng building, tataas yan. So yung book value nung nasa government, tataas. So, ang investment ng gobyerno ron is the human development, the social development nitong mga blighted communities at saka mabigyan din ng pagkakataon yung mga tao na makapanirahan sa mas maayos na community. Yun po siguro, hindi lang po kasi kung acquisition lang ng lupa through expropriation pero walang gagawin about kung papaano yung disposition, magkakaroon agad ng ng deadlock because of the high cost of acquisition and then sasabihin siyempre ng sektor ng urban poor, hindi namin kaya yan. So kung ibibenta rin sa kanila yung unit, lalo pang mas mataas dahil ang taas ng land acquisition and mataas din yung cost ng ng paggawa ng bahay. So might as well gawin na lang social service ng gobyerno yung housing. Anyway, siya pa rin ang may-ari ng housing kahit na anong mangyari. Ang maganda pa dito, Your Honor, mamimaintain ng gusto yung mga housing units kasi it will be managed and maintained by the government along with the mga tao. Kasi po, kung magbabalik tanaw tayo, yung mga naunang mga tenements, makikita natin dahil binili ng mga tao, parang in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, nasa laula na kasi iba-iba na yung mga nakatira, na ibenta na yung mga units. And then, wala pong pwedeng mag-manage doon kung sino lang matapang, siya lang yung, kaya po makikita mo, saan ang sampayan, etc. Ibig sabihin, walang disiplina. Pero if it is managed by the state or by the government, palagay ko po yung sa Valenzuela, yung Disciplina Village, will be a very, very good picture po, example, model. Yun lang po, Your Honor. Thank you po.
So, actually, the reason why I asked it, kasi ang ganda ng bill, ang question is it doable? Anyway, the issue will give its position paper and NHA also within the joint na within the week. Kasi lagi tayo meeting tapos bibigay ng position paper, tapos ang tatagal pa ulit, diba? Oo. So within the week. Yes. Before Kong Joseph Tan, the NAPSI, Mr. Enteng Barlos is raising his hand. Yes. Sir, any comment?
Thank you, ma'am. Una po, salamat kami sa author ng bill dahil dito sa expropriation. Kasi nandun naman saudha po kasi, yung expropriation ay siya yung last resort. Kaya mula nung nagawa yung batas, wala namang expropriation na nangyari. Dahil nasa huli siya lagi. So, ang daming mga bagay-bagay na dapat mong gawin bago ka mag-resort sa expropriation. Dito po sa batas na to, yung expropriation, pwede na siya kagad ang una. Ito ay beneficial po sa aming mga urban poor. Dahil, pag pumasok po yung mga informal settler dun sa isang lupa, wala naman pong nagpapakitang may-ari. Pag gumanda na yung lugar, nandiyan yung development, ang mga urban poor ang nag-request ng kuryente, ng tubig, ng kalsada. Pag maganda na po yung lugar, biglang lalabas yung may-ari. So dahil dito po sa batas na ito, matutulungan po kaming ma-identify sino ba talaga may-ari. Kasi kung ilalabi na namin sa aming LGU na bili na namin tong lupa, kasi meron si MP pero hindi rin naman nagiging tagumpay, kasi nga ang daming lumalabas na mga may-ari, sino kakausapin ng gobyerno? Ngayon po, dahil mayroon ng magiging batas po ito, sasabihin ng gobyerno, sasabihin ng LGU, magtutulong sila o bibili namin ng lupa. Ngayon, lalabas ngayon, sino ba talaga ang tunay na may-ari? Kadalasan po, wala naman po talaga ang tunay na may-ari. Ang gamit lang, tax declaration, minsan mga sindikato. Ngayon, pag naglabasan sila, o di magkakaalaman na ngayon, sino ba talaga may-ari? Sa dulo, dahil bibili ng gobyerno, mapapatunayan sa dulo, wala naman pala talagang may-ari. Diba? Kung sino ba talaga minsan po yung kapitan ng may-ari, minsan yung barangay, minsan yung mayor ang may-ari, hindi naman nagtatago. Gusto lang paalisin ng mga tao. Ngayon, pag naging batas po ito, lulutang ang may-ari kasi bibili na ng gobyerno eh. May batas na eh. So, yun lang po yung aking comment. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you from the NAPC, Mr. Enteng. Yes, Congressman Joseph Tambi for Congressman Shimura.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Tanong ko lang ho doon muna doon sa isa. So, sir, sa madaling sabi, sa sinasabi niyo ho kanina, hindi ho magiging, yun ay parang kumaga pahiram lang na sa tao, hindi maibibigay. Ganun ho ba ang kasi ang pagkakaintindi ko parang pinahiram lang eh, tapos hahawakan na ng, imamanage na ng LGU. Ganun po ba, Madam Chair?
Madam Chair, ganito po. Parang ganun po kasi ang issue nga po kaya ganun ang ginawa kasi kapag diretsong ibinenta sa mga tao, masyadong mataas yung presyo. Ngayon po, para masagot na mababa lang yung babayaran ng mga tao at para makabuelo sila sa buhay later on na hindi na nila problema yung bahay, public housing po talaga po na rental. Ngayon po, ganito, ang hindi po downside yung yung hindi maging kanila yung title eh. Kasi po ganito, iba talaga yung konsepto ng ownership doon sa lupa at saka sa building. Yung lupa magde-deteriorate. Yung lupa po, hindi.
Yung building ang magde-deteriorate.
Yeah, yung building po magde-deteriorate.
Okay.
Pero po yung ownership, yung lupa, hindi na pwede mong isalin talaga sa mga anak mo. And then, pero yung building, nag-appreciate yung cost niya. Kaya nga lang.
Sandali po. Hindi pwedeng isalin sa mga anak. Ganun po ba yan?
Ganito po baka by
o
the
baka
time
hindi
na
pwedeng
isalin
ibenta sa iba?
Ano po talaga, government-owned. Kasi po, halimbawa, ang disiplina village, ganun din po. Ito lang po. Kapag ka ganun po na state-owned yun, magiging maayos po kasi, let's say, bumagyo ng malakas. Sila mga may-ari nun. Common po yung bubong. Natuklap yung bubong. Sino po magpapaayos sa kanila? Nasira po yung ibang, napuno yung, the septic tank. Nasira yung mga tubo, etc. Sino po ang magpapagawa? Communal po lahat iyon, hindi po ba? Parang nasa common. So, doon po nag-i-start yung deterioration. So, ang mangyayari po, ang advantage lang, if it is being owned by and managed by the government, lahat pati yung maintenance. Basta po ganito, ang masasagot talaga, magkakaroon ng security of tenure yung mga tao. Dalawang bagay lang po para sila maalis. Una, huwag kang magbayad. Pangalawa, i-violate mo yung deed restriction o lahat ng rules and regulation. Other than that, wala pong dahilan para sila alisin doon. Pwede naman po kasing i-stipulate yun.
Hindi ho kasali yan sa sinasabi.
Hindi po siya po pwedeng ibenta kasi nga po.
Hindi nga, dapat pumasok yun sa violations.
Tama po. Number one violation po yung magbenta. Since it is being managed by the government, problema po yun, paano niya ilalabas yung gamit niya at paano po magpapasok yung bago. Hindi po
so,
ba?
sa madaling sabi, Madam Chair, ang LGU ang hahawak sa lahat. So, magiging libre. Ganun po ba?
Hindi po libre. Kaya nga po,
kasi
binanggit ko kanina po, rental sana. Para may,
rental,
may
pero wala
din
silang
po
karapatang ibenta.
Opo.
Gamitin nyo hanggang gusto nyo, pero hindi nyo pag-aari.
Yes, Your Honor. Ganito po. Yung pera na malilikom doon, kasi minimal na rental, for example po, minimal na bayad, yun po ang pwedeng gamitin para sa estate management at saka po sa maintenance ng building. So kahit po abutin ng 25 years, 30 years yung building, maganda pa po siya kasi well-maintained at saka well-managed po yung buong komunidad. And later po, yung binabanggit ko po na human development, doon po magsisimula talaga yung yung transformation nung mula ron sa isang komunidad ng ISF papunta doon. Kasi po makikita nila kung paano gumamit ng tama ng common areas, paano i-manage yung ingay, paano yung waste disposal, etc. So kasama na po yun doon sa estate management, yung human development po talaga sana. Yun po, Your Honor.
Madam Chair, no. Sa madaling sabi, kung sa Metro Manila, limbawa sa highly urbanized area, so practically, hindi pwede tayo sa horizontal, di ba? It's more on vertical constructions. So, paano may pera ho ba ang LGU kung susumahin natin? So, kung ibinatas ba natin to, ma-oblige sila na magiging ganito pag ipinasa natin to?
Ganito po, yung sa batas po yata na ipinupush kasi is for the national government po. Magkaroon po din sana ng funds yung national para po doon sa purchase nung lupa. Opo. Pwede rin naman po hanggang doon sa pagtayo ng building, and it can be turned over sa mga LGUs para po si LGU na po yung responsable doon. Kaya ko po binabanggit na sana po makatulong po yung national kasi po kapag aasahan natin yung LGU na sila lang ang gagawa, baka po maubos na yung panahon, nagtuturuan pa po sila kung saan kukunin yung pera.
Thank you, NHA, Mr. Dennis Protasio. Actually, si Kong Joseph, medyo excited tayong lahat, no? Kasi we are now talking about the rental housing. We are talking about how the government, national government can go into expropriation. These are the schemes, there are plans in their minds. Pero we stick first about the expropriation.
Yes.
So with that, we will ask Attorney Alberto Talampas from Talampas as Senior State Solicitor ng OSG, kasi in every expropriation involved yung ating yung DOJ with this matter. Sir, can we know your comment on the said House bill about expropriation of lots for the ISF?
Good morning, Your Honors. I'm Senior State Solicitor Alberto Rambas from the OSG po. I'll be candid with you, Your Honor. We've been also studying this bill, and we are drafting our opinion regarding this matter in light of the newly passed ARO Act as to expropriation, Your Honor. And as the lawyer of the government, what I could say is we are ready, if this bill will be passed, to help in the implementation as regards the filing of expropriation cases. As to our opinion regarding this matter, if I may beg your indulgence that we would submit our comprehensive position on this proposed bill, Your Honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you from OSG, Attorney Alberto. So we will wait for the position paper of NHA, DSHUD, and OSG.
Madam Chair.
Yes, before we proceed, let me acknowledge Deputy Majority Leader Kong Ivan Howard Ginto, Honorable Sergio C. Dagoog, Deputy Minority Leader, and Honorable Antonio A. Ferrer of 6th District of Cavite. Before, yes, Kong Shimura, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill kasi, it's all about strengthening the right of the government to expropriate. So we're not yet giving it to our constituents, no. Based on my experience as a municipal mayor, Madam Chair, and as a former president sa LMP ng Cebu, yung housing kasi with regards to the lupa, ibinibigay dun sa local government. There is a provision in the local government code that we are not allowed, especially yung mga municipalities, to hire for lawyers kasi we are dependent on the provincial legal office. So the problem there is, if maybe we can request DOJ na mabigyan maybe a memorandum that those LGUs who can afford lawyers, because we're talking about expropriation, we are empowering the LGUs, that they are the one who has the capability, or kami yung LGUs yung inuutusan natin to look for this area because may housing doon, may budget si Kong, ganun. So maybe, Madam Chair, one way of strengthening the government is maybe asking the Department of Justice to allow municipalities, those who can afford, but those who cannot, maybe can be dependent on the provincial legal office. Kasi way back 2019 hanggang 2024, yung ginawa namin dun sa bayan namin ng Danbantayan, it's in the northernmost tip of Cebu, nagpaalam kami sa Provincial Attorney's Office sa Province of Cebu na mag-hire kami ng lawyers kasi it will take time if we are depending on the legal office ng province. Kasi ang dami. We are about 51 LGUs in the entire province of Cebu. So, maybe, so that we can help this bill, which is, as you have said, Madam Chair, it's ang ganda ng ang batas na ito, maybe we can empower our LGUs through our, with the help of our Department of Justice. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Kong Shimura. But just for the context, ayusin ko lang. Itong bill na ito, ang inaayos natin before kasi tama yung sinabi ng NAPSI na expropriation is on the last part. Pero itong bill na to, ngayon wala na siyang priority. Sino yung number one? Ngayon this bill, the land may be acquired for socialized housing, whether it's owned by the government or any subdivision, instrumentalities, agencies, including government-owned or controlled corporation, alienable lands of the public domain, unregistered or abandoned idle lots, those within the declared areas of priority development, zonal improvement program sites, slum improvement, resettlement program sites which have not yet been acquired, bagong lipunan improvement of sites and services or lease sites which have not been yet acquired, or privately owned lots. So, itong batas na to, sinasabi niya na hindi na last yung expropriation at hindi sinasabi na kailangan privately owned lang So yun ang gusto namin mahingi ng comments from all the agencies that we invited this morning. So inaayos ko lang yung konteksto ng ating discussion. Okay? So with that, may we hear from
Madam Chair?
From DOJ? Attorney Kalingasan, Charlie Macy Kalingasan. Your comments, ma'am.
Good morning, Your Honor. For the DOJ, we're still conducting a final comprehensive legal review of the amendments, particularly concerning the increased flexibility in land acquisition under Section 9 and the revised conditions for expropriation. We note of the removal of the order of priority of the properties to be acquired. So in our position, we will try to recognize the critical necessity of upholding the constitutional guarantees of due process, just compensation, while facilitating socialized housing also, Your Honor. So to ensure a unified, authoritative, and thoroughly vetted legal opinion, I must strictly defer to the official position paper, which is currently under final clearance. But we will take note of the balance between the upholding of the constitutional guarantee to due process, just compensation, and facilitation of the socialized housing, Your Honor.
Pero from Attorney Charlene, is this possible, the expropriation?
I would have to defer, Your Honor, to the final position paper. There may be amendments also in the drafts that we have prepared, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. May we recognize Kong Wilfredo Arman Di Maguila Jr.? Kong?
Madam Chair, I find it unusual on the part of the OJ, the SHUD, NHA, parang wala kayong alam sa expropriation. I mean, there are two rules. If the national government would expropriate private land, siyempre, private land lang pinag-uusapan natin dito. You have the rules of court for expropriation. I forgot the number of the rules now. And in the case of the local government is empowered also to expropriate private properties. In fact, this is one of the three inherent powers of the government. So, ang purpose ng nitong bill is, alam nyo, to give, sa totoo lang, if NHA, they should, kung gusto nyo lang talagang expropriate, even without this bill, magagawa nyo ito. Now, why are we doing it? Bakit may bill? To give emphasis, kasi baka nakakalimutan ng iba, ang social housing is also for public use. And also, ang purpose is for the government to expropriate the land sa presyong tama. I'll give you an example. Sabi niyo, Quezon City. Ang Quezon City, if you'll be asking for the fair market value, mahal. Mahal talaga. Pero hindi lang yun ang pinag-uusapan dito. Ang pinag-uusapan dito is merong iba pa. So, bababa ito. Hindi kasi ito yung speculative na presyo ng lupa. And also, pag ginawa mo siyang multi-level, multi-stories, nagmumura syempre siya. And thereby, nagkakaroon ng ownership, hindi rentals. Nagiging sa kanya yung may-ari. At ang main reason, and I won't disagree, but sa case ng local government, unang nasa isip ng executive ang expropriation. The only reason why we will be tendering our offer to buy your land is because nasa proseso yon. Dahil pag hindi mo ginawa yon, via ordinance, madidismiss yung aming expropriation, yung complaint namin. Now, nasa isip mo agad yon. In fact, ang Makati, if you would note, kapag nag-tender sila ng offer to buy, may warning that in case hindi tayo magkasundo, we will be expropriating your property. Tinatakot na yung hindi mo tinatakot, no? Sinasabi niya talaga yung procedure. And thereby, ba't kailangan ng expropriation? CMP. May nagsabi sa inyo, hindi naman nagwo-work yung CMP. Minsan po nagwo-work. However, ang problem with CMP is usap ng usap, nagtatagal ang usapan, samantalang if the government would tender its offer, you only have basically 15 days para sagutin, or else we will consider this as your final counter-offer. At kapag ayaw pa rin ng gobyerno, then that would be the time na mag-file ng complaint for expropriation. Not only that, bakit expropriation? Makikipag-deal ka sa may-ari ng lupa. 4 na magkakapatid. Ayaw pa nung isa. Pinaiikot-ikot lang kayo. May kaso yung lupa. Paano ngayon ang gagawin nyo? Kakausapin nyo rin yung, buti kung 2 parties lang yung nagkakasuhan. Kung 4, kung 5. Samantalang sa expropriation, you notify every one of them. Tapos, nakuha nyo na yung jurisdiction over them. Di may expropriate nyo na yung property. Kapag pinatawag sila during technical conference, di may expropriate nyo na. Yun ang gusto ni Madam Chair. Expropriation is one of the inherent powers of the state, and it is always possible. That is why nalulungkot ako pag sinabing magpapasa kami next week ng position paper. No, right now. After this, I will be moving for the approval of this bill.
Thank you, Kong Arman. Actually, that's the very essence of the bill, yung discussion mo. Oo, so thank you very much. Okay, Kong Arman. But before we proceed, medyo umiinit yung ating talakayan, ha? Okay. We recognize Honorable Roy M. Gonzalez, Vice Chairperson, Long District, City of Santa Rosa. Honorable Leila M. De Lima, Deputy Minority Leader, Honorable Gerald Galang, 2nd District of City of Valenzuela. Now, nakita ko we recognize Kong Alfonso V. Umali Jr. Kong, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I agree with the last statement of Kong, of our dear colleague. Alam niyo po, ako ho ay ilang taon na. Nag-umpisa ako rito 2001. Bata pa ako. 2001. Nag-3 terms, nag-governor ako. At ngayon, 3 terms ulit, term na ako. Pero, patanong ko, inabutan ko rito, yung ating backlog ng is 6 million. Nung pumasok ako ng housing backlog, hanggang ngayon parang walang nabawas. So, ang kailangan natin, palagay ko ang kailangan talaga natin, tama yung sinasabi. Ngayon pa lang, position paper, 18 taon na ako nagpo-position paper, wala rin namang hindi natin kailangan na ito eh. Diba? Kailangan natin magdesisyon na tayo, once and for all, na, Kailangan may mangyari. Yung NHA, I remember, nagbibigay nung pumasok kami rito, may pangako sa amin 3.2 million na pwede mo gamitin pag nagbayad yung pag-ibig, pwede mo gamitin ulit sa another, di ba? Yearly dapat meron kang, as congressman, meron kang ganong pondo. Pero, unfortunately, ni isa walang nangyari sa amin, So, tagal na natin dito. So, high time na. Teka muna, kung ganito ng ganito tayo, sinasayang natin lahat ng oras natin. Baka mamaya patay na tayo, wala pang nangyayari. So, from 2001 to 2025, grabe na yung haba noon. So, palagay ko naman, high time na tama yung sinasabi. Magdesisyon na tayo. Ipinali na natin ito. Hindi pwedeng pa pag-aaralan na naman natin. Isang taon na naman yan. So, mauubos na yung taon natin. Hindi pa tayo, wala pala tayong desisyon. So, sa tingin ko, yun na importante. Alamin natin talaga yung punot dulo. Nasaan ba ang problema? At gawin natin na solusyon. I think, posible yung sinasabi ni Mr. Protasio na rent. Kasi para may talaga, kasi nakakaawa naman talaga yung mga tenement houses natin dyan sa, makita mo, akala mo squatter pa rin. Diba? May mga 4-story ka nga, pero tingnan mo naman. Kasi nga, walang maintenance, walang lahat. Ngayon, yung makukuhang nire-renta, pero pwede rin naman sigurong rent to own. Pero may part lang yung government for maintenance. Di ba? So, pag-aralan natin lahat. And I think, pwedeng mangyari. Basta, kailangan seryoso lang tayo. Hindi yung pwedeng, puro salita lang tayo. Walang mangyayari, kawawa ang tao, kawawa ang Pilipino. Salamat po.
Thank you, Kong Umali. We recognize now Kong Honorable Jonathan Kate Flores, 2nd District of Bukidnon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, actually, I just wanted to raise a point of order. Not necessarily a point of order, but if we could just limit our discussion sana to the Bill 2567. Because simple lang to It just says that hindi natin i-follow yung order before we get to private lands. No? And second is yung hindi necessary na to exhaust all other means of acquiring the property other than expropriation. Para po, although the discussion is very nice po, no, it's very important, but the bill actually just speaks of freeing the agency and the local government units from the order provided by Republic Act 7279, and by not saying that dapat i-exhaust mo muna yung pag-negotiate with them and before proceeding to expropriation. These are the only two sections po that are important in this particular bill. And if we could, kasi there are other bills pa po no, that we need to discuss also. Madam Chair, thank you.
Thank you. We will submit to the wisdom of Honorable Kate Flores as he raised the point of order. But we will give also the avenue and the chance to other Kongs to also veto yung mga concerns nila regarding the issue of expropriation. Okay, may we recognize Honorable Antonio El Tino, Deputy Minority Leader. But before that, we are recognizing Honorable Jam Madrona, Deputy Majority Leader, Baronda. Thank you very much for all your time, Kongs. Sir Kong Tino.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, gusto ko lang po marinig ang posisyon ng mga resource persons natin, lalo na yung sa legal, kasi tama po, mainly ang ginagawa ng panukalang batas sa inaamenda, tinatanggal na yung order of priority sa land acquisition, among others. Pero meron pong isang importanteng amyenda na kailangang matalakay dito, which is the amendment to Section 11 of the UDHA. Ito yung exempted from, expropriation of lands. So merong explanation dyan, no? Pero sa pinaka-last sentence, exempted from this provision, however, are residential lands owned by small property owners. Tapos, pinadidelete na po dito sa kasalukuyang bill yung or those the ownership of which is subject of a pending litigation. So ang sinasabi dito, yung mga nasa korte ngayon, no, na hindi magalaw dahil may pending court case, ay pwede nang ma-expropriate kung mapasa ito bilang batas. Halimbawa, ang intindi ko, halimbawa, yung malaking butas sa may Ortigas, alam niyo yon, di ba? Yung property na yon sa corner ng EDSA at Ortigas, malaking butas na parang may gubat na sa loob nun di ba? Kung nadadaan o kung sumasakay kayo sa MRT, makikita niyo yon. Bata pa ako, nandun na yon, di ba? Tapos hanggang ngayon ganun pa rin yon, butas. Kasi ang alam ko, it is still stuck in court. So ang sinasabi yata dito, tama ba ako? Pag napasa ito bilang batas, wala na, pwede nang isang tabi yung court case na yon, and the LGU, Quezon City pa ba yon, or Mandaluyong, o ibig sabihin, or San Juan, okay, pwede nang i-expropriate yun finally and maging productive na yung lupa. I mean, that sounds good. Pero ang gusto ko lang marinig ay, I mean, is this constitutional? Is this, legal? Gusto ko lang po marinig ang mga opinion.
Yes, Kong Tino, actually, the DOJ already commented a while ago. Can you, for the consumption ng clarification ng ni Kong Tino, can you repeat again the stand of the DOJ regarding the matter?
Insofar as Section 9, Section 10, and 11, we recognize the order of priority having been removed, and also of the removal of the list pendants, I understand, in Section 11. We will try to recognize also the constitutional guarantee on due process, considering the parties involved in a list pendants, in a property with list pendants, and also the constitutional provision on just compensation also, and the socialized housing. We will try to harmonize in our position paper, Your Honor.
So, ang intindi ko po sa sinasabi nyo ay sa tingin nyo kayang ma-justify ang pagtanggal ng provision na ito. Yun ba ang sinasabi nyo?
Provisionally, Your Honor, subject to the position paper to be signed by the Department of Justice, we understand that the rules of court will be only suppletory in nature. So, an existence of this kind of law will be harmonized with the rules of court as well, Your Honor.
Okay, continue.
So hindi nyo tinututulan ang amendment na ito, ang proposed amendment na ito?
Provisionally, Your Honor, subject to the final position paper of the Department of Justice, Your Honor. Because well, we have prepared and made drafts already. Of course, the bureaucracy of the Department of Justice will require reviews also of our signatories. So I cannot be put on record saying that I can ultimately say that it's
sige po.
Allowed, okay. Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor.
Bigay na lang yung position paper. Thank you, Ma'am Chair.
Thank you, Kong Tino. We now ask also our guests from Philippine Institute for Development Studies, Dr. Marife M. Ballesteros, Vice President. Your comment on the particular bill, Madam.
Yeah, good morning, Chair, and thank you for inviting PIDS. I'm here as a researcher, and it's a very interesting discussion. I'll just put context, no?
Can you... Yes.
Okay. Yung removing the prioritization, I think is a step towards a right direction. Ang issue nga lang, and which I think is very relevant, is yung expropriation for socialized housing. Kasi we know it's a tool of government, yung expropriation. So kami na-expropriate yung lupa namin because of power lines, etc. Yung mga ganyan, infrastructure. But very rare did we see it for socialized housing, because it becomes the way we are implementing our socialized housing, privatize later on yung asset. If the sole purpose of that expropriation is socialized housing, tapos ibibigay mo as an asset to another person, magkakaroon talaga doon ng parang difficulties in terms of rights, no? Ito pag-aaral natin, and this is very recent. We look at geospatial analysis as well as temporal analysis. Ano ba yung urban trajectory? So, you have rapid urbanization. And therefore, what is happening is that nagiging mahal yung mga lupa. And you want to actually optimize the use or the economic value of that land. And that's why I would imagine na kung whether even government lands, ang hirap nang igamitin for socialized housing exclusively. So what more for private lands? So ang nangyayari, nagcreate talaga ng tension between a market-driven urbanization and equitable access to shelter. And look, what is you see that happening since time nung Eastwood, Vertis North, BGC. So actually, what we see happening there is that instead na may ma-allocate or instead na magkaroon tayo ng inclusive income, mixed income planning, we move out, nadi-displace definitely yung mga for socialized housing. So, expropriation is okay, but it will not be enough if our goal is inclusive cities, no? So, may other regulatory powers yung government, like zoning, like, yung mga ganong aspect na part of the development that would be happening. Kasi lahat naman yan because of the value of land, tumataas, i-optimize mo yan. So ngayon, what you see around us is urban revitalization, di ba? Urban renewal. So kahit na mga maliliit, yung makikita mo sa Makati, yung circuit. So it's all happening all over. And that's the urban trajectory that we see is happening around us, even whether you go to Cebu and Davao. So yung tension na nandoon, what can government do? So partly, expropriation is a way to do it, or actually including it dun sa urban revitalization na planning, nakasama na may socialized housing component. So we're talking about transit-oriented development. So ang dami, pakilista yung socialized, nakalista lang, but there's no enforcement. So that's actually the issue. So we need something, clear guidelines, kasi mahirap din naman na expropriate mo lang lahat, then socialized housing, lahat yung buong ano. No, I think you have to have a very clear guideline on when we do the expropriation and when we do the expropriation for socialized housing. But I think even those sa urban poor have to realize na hindi na pwede yung horizontal nila. Oo, they have to adjust. Kasi nga hindi that's part of the development. Kaya nga if you look at geospatial like BGC, ginawa lang natin with fence off. Tapos yung community na yon, they have limited access kasi naka-fence off sila eh. So, limited access to a lot of, So, ganun na nangyayari. You have pockets of those close to these very modernized urban areas. Kita mo yung mga pockets na yon. Kasi hindi rin sila natasama sa transformation. So, I guess, that is where government should actually provide more parang guidelines and kasi these are private sector money, sila naman yung nag-i-invest dyan. But government can come in terms of a combination of expropriation and zoning, yung regulations.
Thank you, Dr. Marife Ballesteros, for that very insightful comments. Now we acknowledge National Real Estate Association, Mr. Bansay C. Choa, NREA advisor. Sir, comment on the bill.
Good morning, Madam Chair. I just wanted to make it clear, if we are talking only about expropriation, I think I agree with some of the comments earlier, Expropriation is not only about land. when you talk about property development, it includes land and land development and also the structure itself. I will tell you there are basic problems on expropriation because the government have lands and also there are property that are private sector. Now, in the law of expropriation, which is very clear, it should be even in the government, it should be paid at fair market value. Now, since it's government to government, one pocket to another is okay. You don't need to pay. But the biggest problem, you know why the LGU sometimes do not want their property be used as socialized? Because the government do not provide for social services. That is the number one problem. We have projects before, under sa mga subdivision namin, and we gave properties, the LGU gave the land, and we constructed the houses. But afterwards, there's no hospital, there's no school, there's no facilities, there's no even fire department. So why will the government, under the LGU, wanted to give up their land for somebody that they will be spending more money when they are not given additional funding? So I think those are the things that the committee have to consider. But if your purpose is just to expropriate, just make sure that they are being compensated properly. Be it only the property value, and also the other services. I agree, one of the biggest problem right now, kagaya yung ating tinatawag na MMDA dating project, ang tawag doon? It used to be given to them. Now, the property is very expensive. But you look at the quality of the houses now. There's no maintenance because nobody's maintaining the property. Do you remember a building that is constructed can last for more than 50 years? If you properly maintain it, it's probably going to last for another plus 75 years pa. So, Madam Chair, I think if you really wanted to push with this expropriation, you have to consider other factors. Not only about the price, it also have to include the other services after you got the property. Now, I will tell you one thing, which Social Housing Finance can confirm it. They have a lot of approved projects without funding. O, sino yung taga Social Housing Finance?
Attorney, Engineer Julius and Attorney Rene.
Okay? Yun lang, Madam Chair.
Is it true na marami kayong approved pero walang fundings?
Yes. That's confirmed. Now, second question. How many constructed houses ang NSA na walang nakatira? Oh, that's another question. So why do you need to build more socialized housing? Make it more niceable, livable, and then if you wanted to give it out to them for free, but make sure that there's proper maintenance. Alam mo, I will tell you, about 20 years ago, this problem always arises. Before we give the land title to the beneficiary, they already sold the property before even living into it.
Yes.
Yan ang mga question, Madam Chair, no?
Yes, Mr. Bansay. Pero point of order lang, sa expropriation tayo, but yung natakal nyo about other socialized housing, projects ng NHA and SHOPC, kulang ng fundings, yung housing ng NHA na hindi natitiran. I think not only about maintenance but the people or ISF clamor ng on-site. Isang factor yun. I'm just replying to it. Although malayo dito sa bill natin, replyan ko lang kayo, Mr. Bansan, na hindi lang yun ang factor about maintenance. They are clamoring and they want an in-city or in-barangay on-site development ng housing. But later, mamaya, babalikan natin yan. May we hear on... Okay, mahaba na tayo. So, babalik na tayo dun sa topic natin. So, may mga issues pa, na dapat ayusin, no? Madam Chair. Hindi na. Later na.
Madam Chair, considering that there are still few issues that need to be addressed, I move that we create a technical working group to deliberate and craft measures that will faithfully express the ideas, sentiments, and sensuous of the committee on the subject.
Second, Madam Chair.
There's a motion that for the creation of technical working group on House Bill number 2567 with Vice Chair Gatchalian as the chair. Okay lang ba? Yes. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the same is approved. Before we proceed, I file House Bill number 6281 on the same subject matter. Once referred to the committee, we will consolidate this House Bill number 2567. Okay? So, medyo mainit itong ating usapan na. Okay. We would like to acknowledge Honorable Agata Paula Aguilar Cruz of 5th District of Bulacan. Now, we proceed. House Bill number 1642, 2332, 3774, and 5011. The next bill on the agenda is a Just and Humane Resettlement Act as contained on the House Bill number that I mentioned. Okay? We will call on, ready na ba, Rep. Paulo Henry Marcoleta for House Bill number 1642.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Warmest greetings to the Committee on Housing and Urban Development and all the resource persons. It is a privilege for me to introduce House Bill 1642, otherwise known as the Libreng Laban para sa Tahanan Act. This bill aims to give importance to principles of social justice as the state exercises its duty under the Constitution to establish urban land reform and housing. The chief mechanism in this bill for urban and rural poor dwellers is to protect their access to housing by reducing their risk of eviction. The bill seeks to amend Section 28C of Republic Act 7279 by pointing out that the court order referred to in law should only apply to final and executory decrees. Furthermore, the bill aims to include an exemption for urban and rural poor dwellers from payment of the obligatory supersedes bond, usually in ejectment cases during the process of appeal. Our urban and rural poor dwellers usually face cases of eviction and risk losing their homes simply because they are unable to pay the bond. Our countrymen are unable to stay the power of the state. It is necessary to reiterate that under the Constitution, it is the mandate of the state to promote social justice and to undertake a continuing program of urban land reform and housing. The main issue here, Madam Chair, is justice denied due to financial barriers. If I may continue, okay. Many families among our urban and rural poor face ejectment cases, putting their homes at risk. A specific risk that they face when ejectment cases are filed is loss of homes by demolition, eviction, or resettlement. It is unjust when community members lose their homes because they are unable to raise money to pay for the obligatory supersedes bond. Failure to pay for the supersedes bond pending appeal has the dire consequence where families are unable to stay the execution of judgment. This enables the state to legally enforce court orders where a remedy cannot be sought by indigent citizens. The twofold measure introduced by this bill seeks to, first, address the inequity of our indigent citizens' inability to pay exorbitant fees such as the supersedes bond, and second, to ensure that the orders by the state are final and executory. Let us give our fellow citizens every opportunity to defend homes that generations of Filipinos grow up in. We cannot turn a blind eye to the unjust and inhumane conditions that our fellow Filipinos experience. Our citizens should not be evicted or have their dwellings demolished under such conditions. We must ensure that our citizens enjoy their rights in accordance with law, and any remedies should be granted in a just and humane manner. Madam Chair, kung naalala ko pa po, itong bill na ito ay na-file pa po ng aking tatay nung siya po ay kongresista pa. At ako po ay kanyang chief of staff. Mga nakakaraang kongreso na po. Sana naman po ngayong 20th Congress ay maisabatas na po natin itong napakagandang layunin ng bill na ito. Justice should be available to all. So should development and housing be available to all. Our fundamental rights should be protected by the state, and they should never be limited by the size of their wallet. Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning to all.
Thank you, Rep. Paulo Henry Marcoleta. Now we call on Rep. Son Shumura for House Bill number 5011.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning to our resource speakers and my colleagues here in 20th Congress. Madam Chair, I move that my explanatory note would be adopted as my sponsorship speech, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Let us now hear from the resource person. May I call on the first again, the Department of Human Settlement and Urban Development. Ms. Annalisa Meredor from DSUD.
Good afternoon again. As I would say, we will be preparing our. We would be giving our official position paper within the week. But for the Code of Conduct on eviction and demolition, what we are using right now is the IRR of RA UDHA, of the UDHA law 7279, which is between DILG and HUDCC, the Housing and Urban Development Coordinating Council, was signed in 1992. So that's it's very clear. It's a very clear document. This is our Bible for eviction and demolition, and the Code of Conduct therein. Yes, ma'am.
May mga social preparations.
Yes, ma'am. It's very detailed. We will attach this to the position paper that we are going to send you, because you might want to visit it. It's also here. Yes, ma'am. So it's very detailed, and this is what we call this, the implementing rules and regulation for humane eviction and demolition, just and humane eviction and demolition.
So the DSUD will just submit their position paper. Official.
I don't want to preempt, because we've already prepared, but the official one we are consolidating so that we come with one voice.
Okay. Now we call on another source person from National Housing Authority, Ms. Maria Luisa Tenco.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning to all our congressmen and congresswomen, and to everyone. For House Bill 1642, the NHA generally support the intention of the proposed measure seeking to exempt underprivileged and homeless individuals from the required payment of super Diaz bond in appealing ejectment cases filed against them. For House Bill 5011 and other House Bill 2332 and 3774, the authority expresses its general support for the House Bill 2332, which seeks to amend Section 28 of the Urban Development Act of 279 by prescribing a code of conduct for proper and safe eviction of underprivileged and homeless citizens. We also affirm the objective of the proposed measure, which strengthen the safeguards for the informal settler families during eviction and demolition, consistent with the constitutional mandate that such actions be conducted in a just, humane manner and with adequate consultation. However, the authority seeks clarification on some of the provision of the bill, which may be inconsistent with the powers granted to the authority by virtue of the new charter, And our specific comment will be submitted once it is approved by the authority.
Okay. Thank you from NHA. Now we call on legal counsel from NAPSI and Attorney Andre Niculo Tayag.
Good morning, Madam Chair, and to honorable members of this committee. Anumang hakbang o panukala na mag-aangat sa pamumuhay ng maralitang Pilipino ay sinusuportahan ng Pambansang Komisyon Laban sa Kahirapan. So kami po ay natutuwa dun sa bill na magkakaroon ng exemption dun sa payment po ng supersedeas bond, because it is also stated under the rules of court yung konsepto ng pauper litigant, yung mga walang pera na mga litigante, considering that it involves demolition and eviction of the underprivileged. So, ang mangyayari po, dahil sa panukalang po ito, ay magkakaroon, may institutionalize yung non-payment of supersedeas bond. Pero, yun po ay sinusuportahan po namin yung panukala with respect sa exemption from payment of supersedeas bond. Pero dito po sa paghukay at amenda ng Republic Act 7279 or Urban Development Housing Act. Siguro po mayroon po akong ibabahagi sa inyo. Sa ilalim ng kasulukuyang batas ay dinidiscourage ang demolisyon at eviction ng maralitang Pilipino at ang exemption po ay ang tatlong bagay. Pag siya ay nakatira sa danger zone o tatamaan siya ng infrastructure project. Pangalawa, pag siya ay merong danger zone. Pangalawa, pag mayroong mga infrastructure projects ng gobyerno na kailangan may availability of funding. Pangatlo, ay kung merong court-ordered demolition and eviction. Dito po ay sana po ay makita ng komite yung definition ng danger zone. Kasi masyado pong malawak, masyado pong vague yung paggamit ng salitang danger. Kasi kung titingnan lang po natin kung ang declaration, kung isa ay nakatira sa tinatawag na danger zone, siya po ay magiging subject ng summary eviction or demolition. Ito rin po ang reason bakit nagagamit ang violation of building code sa pagpapaalis ng mga maralitang tagalungsod. Kasi po, ang sinasabing justification, illegal structure, considering na dwelling na po siya at may mga tao na pong naaapektuhan. So it is direct circumvention of the law. So, makita po ang aming pong posisyon from the National Anti-Poverty Commission, gawin po nating science-based ang pag-declare ng isang lugar na danger zone kung ipapatupad po natin ang demolition at eviction na involving underprivileged and homeless.
Yes, Attorney Andre, can you just submit to this committee your definition of danger zone?
We will oblige. We will submit,
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Before we proceed to other resource person, I recognize Honorable Lani Mercado Revilla for the 2nd District of Cavite that for her sponsorship speech for House Bill number 2. House Bill number 2332.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and to all the members of this COMBOL Committee and to all our resource persons. Magandang umaga po. Illegal demolition is a significant issue in the Philippines, driven largely by the proliferation of unauthorized structures and a severe lack of adequate legal housing, particularly in urban areas. These demolitions can involve both public and private land, frequently leading to conflict and legal action. A major factor is the presence of an estimated 3.9 million informal settler families nationwide. Population growth and migration contribute to the building of homes on public or private land without proper permits or tenure, often in danger areas like riverbanks, shorelines, and garbage dumps. A primary driver of illegal demolition, as opposed to lawful demolition of illegal structures, is the failure to follow legal procedures. Republic Act number 7279, or the Urban Development and Housing Act of 1992, or UDHA, is the principal law governing the rights of informal settlers and the procedures and requirements for eviction and demolition. Under Section 28 of the UDHA, the general rule of law is that eviction or demolition as a practice shall be discouraged. Thus, demolition and eviction is being allowed as an exemption to the law under very strict preconditions only. These are A, when persons or entities occupy danger zones or danger areas such as esteros, railroad tracks, garbage dumps, river banks, shorelines, waterways, and other public places such as sidewalks, roads, parks, and playgrounds when the government infrastructure projects with available funding are about to be implemented or when there is a court order for eviction and demolition. Philippine law requires a just and humane process we call social preparation, which include a prior consultation with affected families, a proper pre-demolition conference, and the provision of adequate relocation and livelihood opportunities which are frequently bypassed. Demolitions are often linked to large-scale commercial and infrastructure projects. Disputed land titles and fraudulent claims also contribute to forced evictions and demolitions. Demolitions and mass evictions are often met with strong opposition, sometimes resulting in injuries, property damage, and even death. But the failure to follow strictly the administrative rules and regulations on the proper conduct of just and humane eviction and demolition has remained rampant and unpunished. This is the main objective that we hope to be addressed by this measure. Thus, this representation prays that we will be able to act swiftly on this proposed measure and be able to pass this law on the 20th Congress. Thank you, and may God empower us to continue to address our people's real concerns and help elevate them from poverty. Ito po ang ambisyon natin sa 2040. Salamat po, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Kong Lani Mercado. Now we proceed again to our resource persons. We call on Brigadier General Crisileo Tolentino, Executive Officer, DOPNP. Sir, can you comment on the bills?
Ma'am, may I read my prepared speech? To the honorable members of the House of Representatives, Committee on Housing and Urban Development, headed by its chairperson, the Honorable Representative Maria Victoria Co. Pilar, and other resource persons, and to everyone present, good morning. I am Brigadier General Crisileo Tolentino, the Executive Officer of the Directorate for Operations of the PNP. And on behalf of the Philippine National Police, I want to express our gratitude to this honorable committee for inviting the PNP to take part in its deliberations on the proposed measures concerning eviction, demolition, and the humane resettlement of underprivileged and homeless families. The issues before this committee directly affect some of the most vulnerable sectors in our communities, and for the PNP, these matters also touch on areas where we assume operational responsibilities, particularly when our personnel are called upon to provide peace and order assistance during eviction or demolition activities. This forum gives us the opportunity to clarify our role and to reaffirm the standards we follow in all such situations. We take this opportunity to assure the committee that the PNP strictly observes Republic Act 7279, its amendments, and all related guidelines governing this matter, and that all police personnel involved in these activities are guided by the police operational procedure. These procedures lay down clear rules on coordination, crowd control, the calibrated use of force, and the protection of human rights. The POP reinforces our duty to maintain order without compromising the dignity and safety of the communities involved. We remain firm in our commitment to ensure that any police participation during eviction or demolition is carried out lawfully, peacefully, and with respect for the rights of the affected families. At the same time, we also wish to manifest that the PNP fully supports the intent and objectives of the proposed measures as they strengthen humane and orderly processes that protect vulnerable communities and promote transparent, accountable, and well-coordinated operations, thereby helping to prevent unnecessary conflict on the ground. Muli, isang magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Brigadier Tolentino. Now we call on another resource person from Sentro ng Alternatibong Linga Panligal.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Saligan, together with the other civil society organizations under the Housing Rights Advocacy Team, have been actively engaging in the past 18th and 19th Congresses, pushing for a just and humane resettlement, especially for the informal settler families. We advocate that there should not be any unjust evictions, and we follow that the only those recognized under the law should. The law UDHA does not allow for unjust eviction, and then safeguards must be put in place, especially if the eviction falls under the exceptions in the law. And then in the said exceptions, there should be clear safeguards, clear definitions, and I think this has been brought up a while ago on the definition of danger area and high-risk areas, which we have been pushing for in the last 18th and 19th Congresses, where we would define the danger area to be those that are occupied, which poses danger to life and safety and property of the concerned residents and general community, while the high-risk area are those which poses high level of threats to the public welfare and safety that cannot be addressed through the scientific, physical, and engineering methods, and thereby is unsuitable for settlement and permanent structures. And I think this has been raised by NAPSI a while ago, that the definition for the danger area must not be too wider, that there should be a clear definition on that. And then we've also been pushing for a policy that there shall be proper social preparation, and that there should be included a child protection policy in the social preparation before, during, and after the demolition and eviction, because as we have been consulting communities, especially the children, most of them have been or are being relocated in the middle of the school year, wherein they could not transfer from their previous school to their new school, and then the community wherein they are going to be relocated or resettled is not even prepared because there's no existing schools, there's no existing health centers, or they don't have access to the roads, to the basic services, and the livelihood of the parents, for example. So again, for these two points that we have raised, we hope that it will be considered in this 20th Congress, since we have been lobbying it for the past 2 Congresses already. Thank you very much.
Thank you from Sentro ng Alternatibong Linga Panliga. Now we call on resource person from Urban Poor Associations or Associates. Arwin Atentar.
Good morning, Madam Chair. To all the lawmakers, good morning. Thank you for inviting us and seeking our opinion on this particular bill. As mentioned, we are also a part of the housing rights advocates together with Saligan, and we've been pushing for this this particular bill for several Congresses already, and we support this bill. In particular, we support the bill filed by Congressman Vargas. This was we filed during the previous Congresses. His brother, Congressman Alfred Vargas, filed this bill in support of our advocacy, and thankfully this was filed by his brother this Congress, and so we support the bill filed by Congressman Vargas. We'd also like to, if I may po, Madam Chair, regarding the previous topic on expropriation, if I may add, if the committee can also look at the required amount of the bond. The bond under it could be confused to with the the requirement under the existing right of way law, which requires 100% the deposit, which would if this will be required under socialized housing, it may further impede the expeditious implementation of the housing projects.
Yes, Arwin, we will invite you during the technical working group to give insight regarding the bill about expropriation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That's all. Thank you.
Then we call on community organizer Multiversity.
Yeah, good morning to everyone. I'm Luz Malibiran from COM. We fully support the different bills being filed now, and we are part of the process when this consultation along this line was done. We are also part of the housing advocate, which was presented by Saligan and UPA. Dahil nga po kami isang CSO group, kapartner namin yung mga communities na directly affected by eviction. Ever since we are fully advocating and fully supporting even before the development and formulation of Urban Development Housing Act, na may mention din po doon ng expropriation. And so we are fully supporting all those amendments. So yun lang po, Madam Chair.
Salamat po. Meron pa. Salamat po. So, hearing all our resource person, thank you. May I know the pleasure of the body?
Madam Chair.
Ma'am, taga-ula. Yes.
Yes,
Kong
considering the conflicting issues that needs to be addressed, I move that we create a technical working group to deliberate and craft a bill that will discuss these matters and considering the sentiments of various sectors and agencies in order to produce a measure that will effectively serve its intended purpose. Alongside with the Vice Chair Santos, Madam Chair. So move, Madam Chair.
Before I second, I think the representative from ULAP Confederation would like to speak.
Okay. Lay on the table the motion of Kong Jam.
Magandang umaga po at thank you po. Gusto ko lang po magbigay po ng comments sa House Bill 1642. Yung supersedes ban po ay talaga pong pabigat po talaga sa aming mahihirap. May karanasan po kami sa Taguig, meron po kaming 14 na membro na nakasuhan po. Hindi na po sila nakapag-apila dahil po sa laki po ng supersedes ban. Sinukuan na po nila yung kanilang laban dahil wala po silang pambayad sa supersedes ban. Yung kabuuan po ng House Bill 1642, ito po ay nagbibigay ng boses at proteksyon sa aming mahihirap sa usapin po ng pabahay, pakarapatang pantao at katarungan po. Maganda rin po yung imbis na po supersedes band ay barangay certificate po muna yung i-band habang nililitis po yung kaso, habang wala pa pong, para po mawala po yung banta ng demolition habang wala pa pong court order po na final and executory. Yun lang po, salamat po.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Yes, before from the DOJ, Attorney Kalingasan, may we recognize Kong Leila de Lima?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. In relation also to 1642 and before we consider the pending motion, I am all for this, 1642, but can I just point out to the TWG that would be created. The danger also of it's a certificate of indigency, the process of issuing certificate of indigency. We must be able to standardize the process. Maybe it's not needed in the bill itself, but in the IRR later. Ano lang po ito, just a point that should be considered so as not to, so we can ensure that these are not fraudulently obtained, as would overwhelm the justice system and undermine legitimate property rights. Siguro sa IRR na lang yan, but the bill itself, the 1642 is very much acceptable, subject to the reconciliation of any differing provisions with other bills. Thank you.
Yes, Kong Leila, we will take note of that. We will ask the TWG to take into consideration about your statement or comments, or inputs rather. Okay, Attorney Charlene May Kalingasan from DOJ.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you po. Regarding the 1642, House Bill 1642, I understand the amendment on supersedeas bond and appeal may likewise be construed as affecting court processes. So possibly maybe a suggestion po lang po, if possible, a consultation may likewise be sought from the Supreme Court, considering it's a court process may also be affected. That's all, Your Honor. Thank you.
For everybody's knowledge, we invited from a court officer to administrator to shed light on the matter, pero wala pong nakarating. Pero anyway, there's a motion from Kong Jam Baronda.
I second, Madam Chair.
Okay, there's a motion that TWG be created on House Bill 1642, 2332, 3774, and 501 with Vice Chair Kong Mark Santos as a chair. So it was duly seconded. The same is approved. Thank you. Okay.
Madam Chair, I would like to express my intent to be part of the technical working group.
So Kong Lani Mercado will be one of the member of the technical working group, will be chaired by Kong Mark Santos. Now we proceed to House Bill number 357. Considering this representation is the author of the next measure, may I request my Vice Chair, Ken Gatchalian, to temporarily preside. Allow me to sponsor the measure.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next on our agenda is House Resolution number 357. May I call on Representative Maria Victoria Copilar to sponsor the measure?
Good morning. House Resolution 3576 to inquire into the critical housing and resettlement issues impacting urban poor communities across Luzon. This resolution is necessary because the state must uphold its constitutional commitment under Section 9, Article 13, to provide decent, affordable housing, and its legal mandate to give humane and just relocation processes established by Urban Development Housing Act RA 7279. The inquiry is promoted by persistent, documented challenges raised by the People's Organization representing over 135,000 families, illustrating a significant disconnect between legal mandates, effective program execution on the ground. The primary issue requiring legislative review includes the failure to execute proclamations, notably the socialized housing site reserved under Proclamation number 704, Series 1995, in Lupang Arenda, Taytay Rizal, which remains significantly delayed after nearly 3 decades, impacting 20,000 families and leading to the expiration of regulatory documents. Furthermore, budget and implementation gaps are evident. The People's Plan in Santa Mesa, Manila has experienced a 7-year implementation delay, despite the budget being fully allocated since 2016. And the project in Barangay Doña Imelda, Quezon City has been stalled since 2012, groundbreaking. Finally, issues concerning quality and tenure instability plague several projects. For example, units intended for 900 families in LRB Mangahan residents in Pasig City are deemed uninhabitable due to documented substandard construction, while concurrently 10,000 families in Casiglahan Village, Rodriguez, Rizal, face threats to their tenure due to cancellation of their awards. These deep-seated institutional and administrative challenges, some persisting for over a decade, impede the delivery of fundamental social services. Therefore, I urge the adoption of House Bill number 357. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Copilar. Let us now hear from our resource persons. May I call on the representative from Department of Human Settlement and Urban Development?
Ma'am, I'm sorry, Your Honor, the technical persons who's in charge, they're on their way here, so I'll wait for them to arrive so they can discuss these projects that is listed here. So,
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, basically, the bill is about the presidential proclamations na hindi na award na, dekada na. Ano bang ginagawa ng ating mga ahensya tungkol dito? At ilang pamilyang involved, 135 families, 10,000 families, 20,000 families, nanganga na hanggang ngayon naghihintay kung anong aksyon ng mga different government agencies concerned regarding the matter.
Madam Chair, if I may, can we please identify exactly which government agencies need to be asked pointedly about these problems? Because there are many agencies here, but with respect to these presidential proclamations, yung sakop po nung resolution ng ating chairperson, alin po kayang mga agencies na nandito sa atin, o kahit yung mga wala dito sa hearing na ito, ang dapat natin tanungin ng diretso about these problems, about unimplemented or partially implemented presidential proclamations. Para sila muna po ang una nating tanungin. If I'm respectfully moving for that, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Representative De Lima. It's maybe call on DSUD to kindly appease us on this.
Yes. For the number one, for the Mangahan floodway, we can NHA can update us on that. For number two, the prolonged delay for Proclamation 704 in Lupang Arenda in Taytay, Rizal, it's between DSUD and DNR, LLDA. For number three, for the People's Planville Homeowners Association, this is with SHFC. They're not here. Nandyan. So this is SHFC. That's number four, in Barangay Doña Imelda, Quezon City. Is this yours, ma'am? Sa inyo ba to? This is LGU-led, Quezon City. Sinong kasama nila rito eh? The LGU. It's Araneta. It's Araneta. This is the LGU of Quezon City with the Araneta properties kasi ang involved dito. For number five, threat of eviction in floodway, Proclamation 116, this is NHA. For number six, in Pulong Candy, Taguig City. Sino dito? Residential free patent, so this would be with DNR and DSUD. For number seven, threat of eviction for Casiglahan Village, San Jose Rodriguez Rizal, NHA. For number eight, LRB Mangahan Residences, East Bank Road, Pasig City, NHA. So that's it, Madam Chair.
Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, wala ho bang pwedeng matanong or pwedeng ho ba ditong any of this that would require the presence and the answers from DNR and DPWH? DNR and DPWH, because in various consultations with various urban poor groups, these two departments are always being mentioned.
DNR is here to... Can DNR reply?
DPWH po.
DPWH was invited, but they're not present at the moment.
Hello po. Good morning, Madam Chair. From DPWH po.
Also, there is.
They're here.
There is a DPWH. Sige kayo.
DPWH.
Comment.
Yes po, I'm Attorney Mary Aiza Manalastas, from Legal Service ng DPWH. With regard po sa mga nabanggit pong mga presidential proclamations, if I'm not mistaken, Madam Chair, I have been commented po dun po sa lupang arenda. And basically po, if DPWH has no projects, pending projects or future projects na tatamaan po ng isang lugar na subject po ng yung mga presidential proclamation, we will give a certificate of no objection po. So we will check po dun po sa mga nabanggit kung meron pong naibigay na certification coming from DPWH po. And we will submit our comments or recommendation thereto. If meron po kaming na bigay na po na certification, I think DPWH has no objection on it po.
Can we call on DNR to reply on this?
Good morning po, Mr. Chair. So, I'm Jerby Bagay po from the Land Management Bureau, DNR po. Currently po, sa item number 1 po dito sa resolution 357, yung sa regarding po sa Manggahan Floodway, may 16 applications po kami for the issuance ng special patent na we are currently expediting po para ma-forward po sa aming central office and for the eventual issuance po ng special patent. Sa lupang arenda naman po, we have a memo sa aming regional office for the compliance po ng mga lacking requirements, and at the same time, dun sa comments and assessment po nung tawag dito, may nirecommend po kasi si Mines and Geosciences Bureau kasi yung area na yun is very highly susceptible po sa flooding. So nag-recommend po si Mines and Geosciences Bureau na mag-hire po ng service po ng parang yung sa engineer po, yung sa soil technical engineer po. So currently we are awaiting po nung lahat ng mga requirements from our regional office po ng Calabarzon po.
Mr. Chair, can I ask questions?
Yes.
Yes. Yung sinasabi niyo pong applications for special patents, since then have they been pending?
I don't have the data, Congressman De Lima po.
I would suspect that those have been long pending. So please check the records.
Yes po.
And we want the answers po. Next hearing or even we would appreciate it po, even if before the hearing, if you can just submit something to the committee.
Yes po.
Na informing us exactly when kailan pa po sila pending yung mga applications na yon, and exactly the status of each of those applications for special patents. Okay. And then yung sinasabi nyo rin pong inassign nyo sa MGB, may we know also when exactly, again, did you ask MGB to make those appropriate evaluation as to the very nature of those properties, of those locations? Kasi ang mga reklamo po ng mga concerned communities is matagal na po ang mga yan. And that largely contributes to the delays So we're surprised that you would not have the answers about when are they spent, since when are they spending, kailan pa ho ba ito ginagawa, and exactly what are those requirements
Yes, ma'am.
na hinihintay ng department?
So we have here the memo po, ma'am, to address to the regional director po ng Calabarzon region po. As stated po dito sa aming memorandum dated February 26, 2025 po, na we are still awaiting po dun sa reply
So this
po nila.
year only?
Yes po, February 26, 2025. So it was stated here yung mga requirements po na kulang, yung as stated sa aming guidelines po. And then yung soliciting the expertise of geotechnical engineers and soil mechanics specialists, whether from the private sector, the DPWH, or other relevant agencies to assess the engineering properties of the underlying soil in Lupang Arenda in coordination with the MGB as recommended by them. And then strict compliance with the requirements for the issuing of presidential proclamation as outlined in the existing laws, rules, and regulations.
Okay po, just to be very clear. So those issues, recently lang ho ba yan? Because if the date of the memorandum is just February 2025, so are you telling the committee that those issues are also recent? Are those issues not yet there or not yet in existence years ago? When we're talking here also about proclamations that are years ago.
Yes po.
Hindi ho ba kaagad kasama yan sa mga evaluation? So we want to be apprised about this. We want to be able to pinpoint the responsibility to specific agencies with respect to this unreasonable delays in actualizing this various presidential proclamations. Sana po maintindihan po ninyo yan. Can we get that report, status report? The dates, exactly? Kailan mga sinimulan yung mga evaluation na yan? Ano exactly mga kulang?
Yes po. We will provide na lang po yung the completed staff work na lang po para dun sa mga background po nung mga activities po na kinandak.
And with respect to the DPWH, you were mentioning about the no objection.
Yes po.
Okay, so the invitation issued by this committee had indicated that in the agenda is this particular resolution calling for an inquiry.
Yes po, ma'am.
I wonder if your office dared to check the contents, the agenda, and dared to prepare for today's hearing.
Yes po, Madam. Basically po, we check the agenda. However po, with regard po sa data of a particular presidential proclamation and primarily po dun po sa whether or not nakapagbigay na po ng certificate of no objection po yung DPWH, isasabay na lang po namin yung specific na answer. Kasi po sa data po namin, we haven't checked pa po kung sa akin po, yung Lupang Arenda, I may say po na we already dumaan na po sa amin yung request po ng
so hindi pa po na-check kung dumaan na sa inyo o hindi pa?
Yung sa legal po. Sa legal
checking
po.
Pa lang?
We will submit within this week po yung answer whether or not yung mga subject lands ng presidential proclamation is na-check na po or nakapagbigay na po ng certificate of no objection.
Can we expect the answer within 48 hours? It's just a matter of checking your records.
I will personally check po. Subject po kung mapipirmahan po ni Secretary within 48 hours.
48 hours, please.
Yes po.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good noon, everyone. I observed, Mr. Chair, for my last 7 years in Congress, these agencies used to delay the proceedings of the committees by just let us doing that. We will submit. Kung titingnan mo, I think the COMSEC have already provided you with a copy of the measures. Ang hindi ko maintindihan, bakit pagdating dito, you will still submit. You will still 7 years na ako sa Congress, ganon lahat ng agency, walang mapili. Now, imagine, Mr. Chair, we are talking of presidential proclamations, 1994, 1995, 2005, 2016, until now, isa-submit pa rin. So, kaya pina-privatize na natin lahat. Kayo yung dahilan. Pati yung Congress, dapat i-privatize na. Nadidelay na rin kami. Kasi sinasabi, mas magaling yung private sa, mas magaling magtrabaho yung private kaysa government. It's because of the agencies. With all due respect sa mga agencies, I hope kayo, DSOD, NHA, isingit ko na lang dito, Madam Chair. During the budget briefing, may hiningi ako sa inyo. Hanggang ngayon, hindi pa ninyo na-submit. Inventory of employees ng DSOD at NHA na walang bahay. Palagi kayong nagsasabi na ang mandato ninyo pabahay, mga empleyado ninyo walang bahay. Paano ka makatrabaho ng taos-puso? Ako, from the power sector. How can I say that we keep on energizing sitios, barangays, yung bahay namin walang kuryente, walang ilaw? Hindi po pwede yun. Mauna kayo. Kaya, you submit that because I am filing a bill, kung paano mabigyan ng pabahay yung mga empleyado ninyo. Kaya hindi naano yung trabaho ninyo kasi yung mga empleyado ninyo minsan pinapaalis dahil hindi nakapag-rent. Palipat-lipat. Dahil wala kayong bahay. But here, your agency is mandated na magbigay ng pabahay. Pero kayo walang bahay. So I hope DSOD and NHA kindly submit to this committee or to my office yung hinihingi ko, inventory of employees. Baka siswertihin kayo, mapunduhan yung mga empleyado ninyo sa susunod na taon na budget. Hindi magkabahay kasi ang hirap na magbigay ng bahay pero ikaw walang bahay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. May I know the pleasure of the body?
Mr. Presiding Officer, considering the magnitude of the issues and to allow committee to review and implementation of presidential proclamation, people's plan and government housing projects to inspect the housing sites that are in dire need of help, I move that we create a subcommittee on presidential proclamation with Vice Chair Honorable Roy M. Gonzalez as the chair thereof. I so move, Mr. Presiding Officer.
There is a motion to create subcommittee on presidential proclamations with Vice Chair Honorable Roy Gonzalez as chair. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the same is approved. I now relinquish the chair to Chairperson Copilar.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
Your Honor, excuse me po.
Yes, it's from
DNR din po, NCR.
DNR, yes.
So, in addition po, na-mention po kasi kanina ng isang concern po sa Taguig, yung sa residential free patent. So actually, we have established satellite office po sa Taguig. For this purpose, yung pong ma-fast track yung mga applications po ng residential free patent. So, siguro, check ko na lang po mamaya kung nag-apply na po sila o are they covered by proclamation order o public land po yung status nila. And then we will help them po. We will help them.
Mr. Bagay, naka-attend na ba kayo ng consultation meeting nung kaming dalawa ni Kong Leila ang nandoon sa... Iba pa rin yung kausap namin last time.
First time ko po ito, ma'am, na
Oo. Pwede ba yung sa subcommittee, pag na-create na siya, yung a-attend, yun na yung a-attend lagi sa amin para nasusundan yung proseso. Kasi pag paiba-iba kayo, iba-iba rin yung sagot ninyo eh. O, iba-iba. Tsaka hindi ko nga, tama yung sinabi ni Rep. Dago kanina, nagtitimpi lang ako dahil ako yung sponsor. Biro mo, dekada na. Tapos hanggang ngayon, chine-check nyo pa rin yung status. O, tapos yun sa shop, sa DSUD din. Sasabihin nyo parating na yung technical person nyo na in charge dito. Diba? Dapat, alam ninyo yan dahil in advance copy kayo. Totoo yun. Ang tagal-tagal, puro papel, position paper. Ang hinihintay ng tao, yung aksyon. At di kami pumapayag na lagi na lang tayong nag-uusap at walang nangyayari. Kaya ngayon, sa subcommittee kami, gumagawa kami ng mga TWG kasi seryoso ang 28th Congress. Despite of the many challenges, seryoso kami na makipagtulungan sa Executive Department para maayos natin, no? At may magawa naman tayo para sa taong bayan na matagal nang naghihintay. Okay? So with that, on that note, there are other matters that any members of the committee wishes to take up.
Madam Chair, may nagre-raise po from the nagre-raise.
Okay. Okay.
Magandang umaga po. Ako po si Malu. Mula po ako sa Pulong Candy, Taguig. Nag-apply po kami sa DNR ng nasa ano pa lang po kami, hindi pa po binibigay po yung aming approved survey authority. Nag-site inspection po sila nung September 5. Ang nakakabahala po dito, yung alleged claimant na hindi naman po doon nakatira, nakakuha po siya ng approved plan, nakakuha po siya ng LLDA clearance. Nangangamba po kami, baka isang araw, mauna po siya makapagpa-pre-patent. Gusto po sana namin mapabilis yung aming application sa pre-patent kasi meron po kaming threat po ng demolition.
O ayan, tignan nyo, kakahintay, magde-demolish na uli. Di dapat, di ba, nabigay na yan. Okay. Next, si Sir, naka-pink.
Madam Chair, magandang araw po. In additional po dun sa proclamation, meron pong area sa Paseco na hindi po naisama sa Camarin, Parola, Slip Zero at Isla Puting Bato. It's a decade na rin po. Ang proclamation 145 po namin since 2001 pa po siya. So, magsasubmit po kami siya for additional paper po.
Yes, please submit. Take note, Kong Roy Gonzalez, since you will be the chair for this subcommittee for presidential proclamation.
Thank you po, Madam Chair.
Okay. So, other matters? Okay. Tatay.
Magandang umaga po sa inyo. Kami yung mga taga-Exodus Homeowners Association along Mangan Floodway. Sa ngayon talaga, maswerte kami nakaharap na namin ang taga-DPWH. Dahil matagal ng panahon, mayroon project yung DPWH na Phase 4, Marikina Rebel Channel, diretso sa Taytay. Ang problema ngayon, magdidemoli sila almost 500 families. Ngayon, mayroon yan RAP. Alam naman yan taga-DPWS, yung Resettlement Action Plan na intended, binadgetan ng 2.1 billion na inutang sa JICA. Ang nakagarantor, paulit-ulit na namin, sinulat na kay Secretary Singson, Bunuan, tapos iba na naman ngayon ng Secretary. Ngayon, ang sinasabi namin, okay lang kami, national project yan, hindi kami total yan. Pero yung kasunduan doon sa RAP, sana i-implement ninyo. At saka, palaging ang naghaharang sa amin, mga consultant, hindi talaga yung agency na kaharap namin. Sana maintindihan kami ninyo dahil hindi kami total sa project ng national government, total lang kami sa ginagawa sa kasunduan dahil hindi na nga kami kinonsulta sa pag-utang na yan. Ngayon, bigla kaming in city talaga on-site. At saka government property yan na DPWH. Mayroon nagtuturo ang NHA, DPWH na mayroon kaming i-relocate na ganon. Sana maintindihan kami, ma'am. Dahil napuntahan mo na yung area namin, almost 1,000 families na apektado kami. Ngayon, mayroon bantang demolition na 500. Ngayon, pasalamat kami ngayon sa inyo, sa committee, dahil nagharap sa wakas ang DPWH. Salamat po.
May we call on Laska, ha? Okay. From NAPSI, Mr. Enteng Barlos.
Ayan, ma'am, ako po yung Pangulo ng Alliance of People's Organization sa Lupang Arenda. So comment lang po dun sa DNR tsaka sa DPWH. Una po, yung sa DPWH, dun po sa Executive Order 854, sila po yung chair. Mula po nung na-revoke yung proclamation, yung Lupang Arenda at Floodway ay ipinamahala sa kanila. Mula po nung 2010 hanggang ngayon, hindi naman po yun umusad. So yung request namin sa DPWH, hindi lang simpleng certificate of no objection. Sana po magsalita sila bilang chair. Kasi sila po yung chair ng Executive Order 854. Hindi ko alam kung ba't hindi umuusad yung aming dokumento kasi nung nag-submit na po ang Lupang Arenda ng complete stop work 2018. Nakarating po ito sa Land Management Bureau. Tapos pagdating po sa kanila, may ibinilik sa regional office, may 3 requirements. 2018 po yun, ma'am. Nung nasubmit po namin yung requirement namin nung 2018, nakarating ulit po sa Office of Asal LMB at sa Office of the Secretary na ng DNR. Pero nagbigay na naman ulit ng panibagong requirements ang LMB. Hindi niya sinabi nung 2018. Nung 2024, sinabi niya na meron ulit ng 3 kulang. Kaya nagtataka kami, bakit tuwing uusad yung aming complete stop work, pagdating sa Land Management Bureau, bumabalik at nagdadagdag ng panibagong requirements. Ngayon po, yung sinabi nilang memo doon sa DNR Region 4A, nag-aantayan din sila. So sana, yung sa bubuo nating technical working group, magsabi na si LMB sana, ano ba talaga? Kasi hindi, kahit i-comply mo po yung requirements nila, magdadagdag pa rin sila ng requirement. Ba't hindi nasabihin? Ang tagal-tagal na po nung 15 years na po mula nung na-revoke. Si DPWH naman, ma'am, yung sinasabi nila magsasubmit ng certificate of no objection, naging agreement na yun, pero hindi pa rin po ngayon sinasubmit. At ang request sana namin sa kanila, hindi lang simpleng no objection, dapat bilang chair ng Executive Order 854, magsalita na sila para naman sa ganun, kung pakawalan na nila kami at magkaroon na ng full authority ang DNR doon sa Presidential Proclamation. So, yun lang po, maraming salamat.
Thank you. Reserve mo lahat yan, Mr. Enteng, doon sa subcommittee will be headed by Kong Roy Gonzales. Okay?
Madam Chair, a few administrative matters. I move that we consolidate House Bills number 3737 and 5878 to the Rental Housing Subsidy Program Substitute Bill as approved on August 20th, 2025. I so move, Madam Chair.
There's a motion to consolidate newly referred measures to the substitute bill as approved. Sorry. There's a motion